So we are going to start this session, sir.
Okay.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome for this beautiful session. On behalf of Ministry Youth Affairs and Sports, Khelo India, and Sai LNCP, I welcome you all for this beautiful session. Today we have a great inspiring teachers, administrators with us. They are the inspirers in this session. Let me introduce each one of them in the. First of all, I like to introduce Sujit Panigrahisa. He is a CEO, Fitness 365 and Khelo India Fitness Assessment Team. He is there with us regularly every time. He is a very, very keen, interested person in this field also. Sujit sir has 25 years of experience in sports, physical education, and sports technology. His company, Fitness 365, is India's largest fitness assessment company. It has also managed Khelo India Fitness Assessment for school-going children's and Swasth Bacche Swasth Bharat program of Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan and an integral part of Fit India movement. Sujit sir is GC member at Sports Skill Council and a member of CBSC and NCERT curriculum committee. He was the additional DG technology for Commonwealth Games Delhi 2010. He is a graduate and a postgraduate from BITS Pilani. His contributions are great and inspiring for us. Sir, on this session, I welcome you on behalf of Ministry Youth Affairs and Sports, Khelo India, and Sai LNCP, and behalf of our respected principals, sir. Thank you, sir. And one more inspiring speaker is Vinu Ashokan. Sir, about him, presently posted as an officer on special duty, National Sports Council, Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan, headquarters New Delhi, a recipient of KVS National Incentive Award 2019, a master trainer in various program of CBSE, KVS programs, and SB, etc. Alumni of LNCPE, Trivandrum, 1989 to 1992, and in Gwalior, 1992 to 1994. So we are very proud of you because you are an alumni of this institution. On behalf of Ministry, Youth Affairs Science Post, Khelo India, Sai LNCP, and behalf of our respect principals, I welcome you for this beautiful session.
Thank you.
One more speaker, inspiring speaker, Miss Neela Prashant, madam. Madam is a TGT maths teacher at KVS RWF Bangalore. Madam is a great inspirer, and she is the person who has is integrating sports and maths subject also. Madam, on behalf of Ministry Youth Affairs and Sports, Khelo India, Sai LNCP, and behalf of our respected principals, I welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everyone.
Yes, ma'am. Next, another great inspirer is Surya Prakash sir. About him, sir is a TGT, KV number 2, Golconda, in charge of sports cell, KBS, regional office, Hyderabad, recipient of KBS regional and KBS National Incentive Award. Apart from that, he is a qualified physical education teacher. About his qualification is that he is a postgraduate MPH, as well as he has completed his Master of Philosophy in Physical Education. He is a great inspirer for every participant in this session. Yesterday also he was there. Today he is there with us, sir. On behalf of Ministry Youth Affairs and Sports, Khelo India, Sai LNCP, and behalf of our respected principals, sir, I welcome you all for this beautiful session, sir. Once again, I welcome all of you for this beautiful session. Platform is yours, and we are eagerly waiting for your greater wisdom. Over to Sujit Panigrahi, sir.
Good morning, sir. Thank you so much. So at the outside, all of us would like to place our gratitude to Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Sports Authority of India, Khelo India, and Sai Institute Trivandrum. It has been like a family for all of us, I think, since all of us are doing it again and again. Also,
Sir,
thank you, sir.
before this, uh, uh, I want to inform our participants that even Mr. M.S. Chavan sir will be a resource person in this. He will join with us within a few minutes also. Even on behalf of Ministry Youth Affairs and Sports, Khelo India, I welcome him also, sir, in his absence.
Right,
Thank you, sir.
right. Yeah,
Sujit, sir, please.
yeah. So let me continue from where we left yesterday. So yes, yeah. So yesterday we actually looked at integration of academic learning and sports, and that is for nursery to class 12. We talked about the importance of the foundation years and how sports and fitness actually helps in building of that, and how we can actually use, because that is a time when actually children are growing up, and so they, even the English, Hindi, mathematics, science, or EVS classes, how do you make them more exciting by doing a lot of activities outdoors, or even within indoors by using sports as a tool for teaching them, and also things like fundamental movement skills, locomotor skills, manipulative skills, body management skills, a lot of animal movements and stuff like that. We actually talked about a lot of activities that we can do to teach some of the lessons of English, Hindi, mathematics, science, and EVS. So these are the things that we actually did yesterday. So today we are going to continue from there. We'll have Mr. M.S. Chauhan sir shortly. He is on his way. Surya Prakash sir, who is in charge of sports cell in Hyderabad, is a keen interest. Neela Prashant ma'am, she's a mathematics teacher, but and she has done excellent lesson planning when it comes to integrating with sports. And Binu sir, he actually looks at sports in entire Kendriya Vidyalaya. He takes a lot of interest in integration of subjects. Uh, so this is an extension of what we did discuss yesterday. So class 1 to 5 are the foundation years where we are looking at how do we integrate subjects, even difficult subjects like a DBS integrated outdoor activities where children can participate. The upper primary classes identification of interest, because that's a stage which is very crucial. And we teach a lot of social science and science through physical education and sports activities. And the third is class 9 to 12, where children would typically be learning about sports, playing specific sports, whereas in class 6 to 8, you are still learning skills of different sports. How do you introduce PE and sports science as a stream for secondary students also? So the idea is that languages, maths, science, art and music, and sports, all of them can be integrated to each other. This was a basic framework, which is basically about whether it is languages, mathematics, science, physics. Can we teach them through physical education and sports, art and music, art integration? Ma'am, can you just put it on mute, ma'am? Experiential learning. Where is Neela, ma'am, can you put it on mute, ma'am? Yes, thank you. Yeah. And then, so languages, so all of this, I mean, can we actually do those integration? Whether it is languages, mathematics, science, physical education, sports, art and music, vocational skills, or social science or science through PE and sport, or art and music. This is a construct of the PE curriculum for the middle school, that's from 6 to 8, where children are supposed to play a variety of sports, whether it is athletics, gymnastics, swimming, which is the mother sports, or you play a variety of individual sports and team sports, and some traditional Indian sports also. Yoga also gets introduced when you're in class 6, and then you have outdoor education, orienteering, and adventure sports, and physical health and fitness, physical literacy, and body and lifestyle. These are the broad curriculum construct. The NCERT strands for 6, 7, and 8 has a lot of things which is around body, which is around goals, which is around physical fitness, games, leadership, yoga, nutrition, safety, gender sensitivity, all of them. So if you look at each of them, there's a lot of things which is, if you look at them carefully, there's a lot of them which you can actually derive from different subjects. You can take the support of different subjects to teach them. Similarly, the learning of different subjects will get enhanced when you actually use sports and fitness. Instead of a boring bio class, can you actually do that outside? Or physics, learning about concepts of physics instead of just learning around the whiteboard, can you actually take children to the ground and they actually learn from it? Broadly, if you look at it as an age-appropriate curriculum, we looked at up to class, up to 10 years, that's up to class 5th yesterday. Said that we're going to start with body, space and effort and relationship awareness, locomotor skills, manipulative skills and stability skills, and sports related movement, that is transitioning of this movement to different sports. And फिर उसके बाद जो 11 to 14 और 14 से 18 साल का जो है, that is when हम बच्चों को इंडिविजुअल और टीम स्पोर्ट्स, इसमें ओलंपिक स्पोर्ट्स हो, ट्रेडिशनल स्पोर्ट हो, रिक्रिएशन स्पोर्ट हो, गेम्स हो, ये सब करा पाए. सिमिलरली जो उनकी फिटनेस की कंपोनेंट्स है, स्ट्रेंथ, स्पीड, एंड्योरेंस, मस्कुलर एंड्योरेंस, कार्डियोवास्कुलर एंड्योरेंस, फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी, कोऑर्डिनेशन, ये सब हम डेवलप कर पाए. योगा, मास पीटी, एरोबिक्स, कैलिस्थेनिक्स, जिसमें मास पार्टिसिपेशन हो, हेल्थ एंड न्यूट्रिशन और आउटडोर एजुकेशन हो. So as a subject teacher, one should know कि P का outcomes क्या है. Class 11 to 14 में क्या outcome है, 14 to 18 में क्या outcome है. 14 to 18 is basically either recreational participation in at least 2 or more sports, specialized sports pursuit भी है और कुछ sporting excellence भी है 9 to 12 के लिए, जो 14 to 18 years है. This is a construct for a age appropriate curriculum. इंडिविजुअल स्पोर्ट्स स्किल्स जो है, इसमें हम ट्रैक एंड इवेंट की बात करें, दैट इट हैज टू बी कंपल्सरी फॉर ऑल द स्टूडेंट्स फ्रॉम फिजिकल एजुकेशन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू. रनिंग जिसमें शॉर्ट डिस्टेंस हो, लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस हो, रिले रेसेस हो, थ्रोज हो, जंप्स हो, या वॉकिंग, all of them they need to track an event should be made compulsory for all the children. And if you look at it, it involves a lot of skills actually to perform better. Can I take help of subjects to perform better? So that's one thought process. So can a physics teacher help me to perform better? Can I, what is it that I'm doing wrong? So can my subject teachers also help me to do that? So these are the second is that one is athletics, second is between gymnastics, swimming, wrestling, and any form of martial art, there has to be at least one activity should be picked up. And this is doable. So you have one athletics and at least gymnastics or swimming or any wrestling or martial art. Can we do that? Again, here skills, measurement, rules of the game, behavior on the ground. These are the things which get developed when you are actually teaching individual sports. Individual sports actually help you to build a lot of skills. So you can actually see how there is balancing, then there is swimming face down, face up, then you're pushing, pulling. There's a lot of activities that you're doing to apply a lot of. Then you also teach team sports. Team sports actually teach you various things. It actually sustains the interest. Unlike a individual sport where it's either you win or lose, in case of team sport, it doesn't matter because there are at different points of time, children contribute differently. So they teach you a lot of other skills also: spirit, cooperation, leadership. And here, if you look at it, there are a lot of things that you are learning: how to hold a stick, how to dribble, how to throw, how to catch. So you can actually flick. You could do a lot of shots, dribbling on the ground, pushing, passing, kicking. So there's a lot of things. So whatever you learned in the early years in terms of effort awareness, how far can you kick, how high can you kick, a lot of things that you can actually do, whatever you learned in the primary classes. Similarly, again here, if you look at it here, there's a lot of things involved in catching, throwing, hitting, whether it is with a TT bat or a badminton racket, or with a hand for whether it is volleyball or it is kicks, or kabaddi, or kho. So there's a lot of there's a lot of movement that you see on the ground. Are these very interesting concepts for the subjects that we teach? Yes, they look right. I mean, as subject teachers, they are very interesting elements which are there. So with that, so this is basically to set the background in terms of what is it to be done from class 6 to 8 and 9 to 12. With that, I would like to hand it over to Neela ma'am. She's going to tell us how sports can be integrated with mathematics in context.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sujit, sir. Now I'll go ahead. How we can integrate sports with mathematics in schools. So as you know, this pandemic has upset a lot of sectors, including educational sector, and children were inside their homes without, exposure to outside world or sports or any facilities of this kind, and lot of physical as well as mental stress among children. That is where the fitness aspect has become very important nowadays, and it is better that we start integrating all subjects with sports so that physical fitness as well as mental stamina can go hand in hand. And also, sports is also one of the multiple intelligences. Now we speak a lot about multiple intelligences, and sports is one of them. So along with the academics, if this could go hand in hand, it will benefit the students a lot. It will enhance their capacity to learn the subjects also, and also physical as well as mental capacity of the child will improve in a lot of ways. So I would go with some of now. What the problem is, we need not have many equipments to integrate sports with subjects. Whatever is there in the school, that itself is sufficient. We do have a lot of sports equipments. We do have a lot of space for the children to play. This itself is enough to integrate the subjects with sports. And I would like to tell one more thing. Not all schools have enough space. There are constraints. They do not have space for all the children to play. Or they may not, the weather condition may not permit them to always go outside and play. For those sector also, these activities which we design, integrating sports and mathematics, it should be used for them. It should be viable. The solution should be feasible so that they could also take up these activities so that children can learn better. So you can see some of the activities that we have just designed nowadays for children. You have these polygons chapter in sixth onwards they have this chapter. So we can make the children come to the playground and form these shapes. Of course, they are drawing on paper, they are coloring it, they know what are diagonals, what are vertices, sides, everything. But performing on the ground, they will learn better. And how will the game be played? The children will form a complete circle first, and the invigilator standing at the center of the circle, she will give a command. And when the command comes, the children start playing or running, music starts, and they will form a circle. And from circle, when the music stops, the teacher will give a command triangle. So the students will form 3 set of children will form triangles. If she says square, four students will form a set and they will form a square with their hands. So in this way, whenever she gives the command, accordingly they will perform. And if they cannot form, any student is not able to form any shape, that group of children will be left out of the game. They will be coming out of it, dropped out. So the students which perform till the last, they will be the winners. This is a kind of game that we can, it is suitable for all 6th, 7th, 8th children, where the basic shapes are taught to them. So in this, we can teach them about the vertices, where they hold their hands, and distance between the 2 points, and we can make them learn a lot of other concepts related to shapes. Now coming to the another aspect, like you have basic geometrical shapes in classes 6 and also 7, and they learn kind of different types of angles and what are the measures of angles. They learn how to measure angles using protractor, and these are the basic things that we need to incorporate among the children very well. And how can we integrate with sports? We can call out the children to the ground and various exercises where they form shapes with their hands, angles, right angle, acute angle, obtuse, reflex, and straight angles. They can form with their hands, and even rotation, clockwise, anti-clockwise, north, south, east, west directions. I know these are the things that they can learn by doing, and exercises can be taught. And instead of giving command like turn around or turn bend, we can ask them use these words: make an obtuse angle, make a reflex angle, turn around clockwise, turn around 90 degrees, turn around anti-clockwise 90 degrees. So these words will be etched in their mind and they will not forget these terms. And naturally, that intensity of learning will improve both on field and when they are not on field, when they are studying it. Again, coming to class 7th, you have concept of angles, and you have various field events like Kho, Kabaddi, and you have football. All these games where we have a lot of lines are drawn. Basketball court is also the best, very good example. And then there the children can learn what are the concepts regarding perpendicular lines, intersecting lines, and transversal, parallel lines. So when they come across these lines on the field, they get to know so many, in a very magnified way. They are, of course, drawing on paper and pencil in a very small way. Size is small. But when they see something in a magnified way and they're enjoying with their friends, they will learn these words as well as the concept. They will attach it to that and it will be there in their mind. The memory will improve and then they will know all these kinds of angles can be taught. You have corresponding angles, vertically opposite angles, alternate angles, and when they have comparison between two types of teams, where you have statistics and different types of graphs, bar graphs, histogram. So they can even record the performance of two teams in any game. So sporting events are going on. We have house teams participating against each other. So they can tabulate the results and they can draw a graph of that. So it would be a very good example, on experiential learning. So nowadays we talk a lot about experiential learning. Instead of giving a data to them and find the mean or median or mode, they collecting the data by their experience will be a lot more useful and effective in learning. A very good example of different shapes and sizes we get in a basketball court where the children can, learn higher concepts. Now you have after coming from lines, angles, different types of angles and all these things. Now you come to higher concepts where they need to know measurement. So measurement of area, perimeter, length, breadth, height. So coming to two-dimensional spaces, we have a flat surface like a basketball court where they get to know all these things. So instead of asking the child to measure with the scale on the paper, if he is measuring with a tape in a very broad way, in a magnified way, he will learn the natural way to measure real life objects rather than book knowledge. So he will be, if you want to measure something at home, measure the table, measure the wall or some window, something, that is a real life experiential learning for him. So that will come only when he does it hands-on. So to give the hands-on experience, we can take them to the basketball court or Kho court or any other smaller dimensional court where he can use the tape and measure. So in basketball court, you have rectangles, circles, and semicircles. So which can be used to measure, and they will be calculating area. They calculate the length, breadth, and then calculate the perimeter, area, and compare. So what is the difference in areas? What are the differences in areas or perimeter? Which is bigger, which is smaller? Which area is bigger, which is smaller? These comparative studies can also be encouraged among children using this method. So this is another example, Kho and Kabaddi, where you have a lot of, you can imagine so many things. You can imagine many activities on this field. You can ask them to, stand at different points and we can ask them to measure the distances. We can ask them to measure the perimeter, area, and which has more area, which has less area. All these things can be taught using the basketball, kho and kabaddi courts. And also main aspect is conversion of units. Many children have difficulty in converting meter to centimeter, centimeter to meter, and vice versa. All other feet also. So foot converting to meter, meter to converting to centimeter, and then inch. These things can be taught using basketball, kho and kabaddi courts, where they will get a comparative information which is equal to which one. So how many foot, how many feet will be almost equal to a meter? How many foot will always be almost equal to be 10 meters? How much we can be converted? So these things can be easily explained and nurtured among the children. Conversion of units. So a lot of this, as they grow up in 7th and 8th standard and 9th also, they come across a lot of conversion of units, calculation, and mensuration is full of using different formula, areas, surface areas, and when they go to solids, they have to measure volume also, surface areas and volumes. So different shapes of, you have balls, you have different things to dumbbells, you have many props that they use in sports. All this can be made use of. Equipment need not be very expensive or anything. We always have equipments in school. For example, a simple thing like a slide can be used to teach about gravity. A simple thing like a swing can be used to teach them about periodic oscillations. So it is only the imagination of the teachers. It is the imagination of our mentors who are handling these children, how to use these things so that in everything there is something new to learn. So that is how we reinvent ourselves, teaching as well as learning when we are doing things. So this is one of the important things, concepts that pi, the value of pi. We teach the children and tell them, देखो pi का value होता है 22 by 7. So 22 by 7 is assumed whenever pi आता है तो we just ask them to substitute the value 3.14 or 22 by 7. अब बच्चों के मन में यह है कि how this is 22 by 7. So how can we explain to them with a concrete evidence proof that it is 22 by 7? Just by telling them that the ratio of the circumference to diameter is 22 by 7. So let them explore that. In basketball court, have so many dimensional circles there. Ask them to measure. One group measure this circle, one group measure this circle, and let them come with the thread, measure the circumference, and let them measure with the thread, the diameter, and let them find the ratio of. Let all the groups come together, compare their results. Of course, minute variations will be there, but they will understand that this ratio is same for all the circles. For all the circles, the ratio of the circumference to its diameter, you will get the same ratio, 22 by 7, no matter what is the size of the circle. So this is a very great, small things like this, which we assume that it is there in the textbook, are experienced by the child and discovered by the child on the field. It will have immense impact, and they will learn that how to get the things from experience, how to learn from the experience, rather than simply non-planned games. Just allow the child to play in the ground. That is not always required. They can learn some things from the given game also. So you have props which are there in the sports cell. You have different shapes. Let them play with them and let them come back and discuss the shapes. What are the shapes they have played? Like you have tennis ball, you have basketball, and all these props. Rings are there. Dice. Indoor games do have dice. Frisbee. All these. So there are not all are the same shape. No, we only give them some of the equipments to play. Let them play with these, and when they play, let them discuss the shapes in the classroom, or let them discuss on the playground itself. You have cylinders, you have every type of shape here. Sectors also you will get. In class 9th and 10th, when we talk about sectors, that is also available in the props. So it is a very useful thing to integrate sport. It is not very difficult at all. Till now, what have we done? We have kept textbooks as the subject material, and we have not integrated maths with other sports or arts. Now the time has come, because new education policy also says that integration of subjects is a must now. The time has come to integrate. Very interesting game, dog and the bone. All children play, normal first standard, second standard, maybe khelte hain. So in that we can give them numbers like this, as you can see on the screen, 1 to 15. So 1 to 15 numbers de do, and bachon ko we can give them squares of those numbers, squares of 1, squares of 4 or 2, 3 and all this number we can give them. And when the pair has to come here, the first number called 3. So the square of that number person has to pair up. And we can come to know whether the child is attentive. If the child is not attentive, he will not come forward. So we can make them attentive. We can make them, alert. And they can be more and more sharp when they play this game. So they will learn square and square roots also. The same activity can be conducted for cubes also. Cubes and cube roots. So asani say we can teach them cubes, cube roots, squares and square roots. So instead of rote learning from the table, tarika hai, they can play the game and they can memorize it will be there in their memory. Without actually memorizing, it will come to their memory. So this is a dog and the bone game modified into a math game. Then higher mathematics, when we come to 10th, 11th and 12th, you have trigonometry, where we talk about lot of angles, trajectories, angle of elevation, angle of depression, all this. And so many trigonometric ratios will start coming. So it is very much connected to maths when we teach sports. So every trajectory of a ball will form a parabola. It will make a curve, and that curve is known as a parabola. And the optimum distance covered by a ball when it is shot will be at the angle 45 degrees. If it is shot at a particular speed at the angle 45 degrees, it will reach the maximum distance. That is the technique most of the good players, the best players in the world practice. So you can see in high jump, they have to practice. In long jump, especially in the long jump, where they have to cover a lot of maximum distance is the winning point. They will use it. So same thing can be used, in basketball when they are shooting the ball. The more the distance, the far away you go from the basket, what is the trajectory that you have to use. So it keeps on depending on the angle of elevation, the angle of shooting. Yes. So that is the speed. We can teach them speed, distance, and angle. So statistics and probability are very important in the syllabus. That is 10th class onwards. तो वहाँ पे बहुत सारे चीज होते हैं जो स्टैटिस्टिक्स में डेटा कलेक्ट करना होता है and they have to find out the average, mean, median, mode and all this from the data. So instead of giving them the direct data ready-made from the table, it is better that they get the data from their experience. They can collect a lot of data from whatever sports activities are happening, and instead of collecting and doing it in the classroom, they can themselves visualize the data, collect it from the field. So they can form different teams and then plan the activity in such a way that it becomes a project throughout the term, 1 month or 2 months, as long as the sports events are going on. So this is about how some activities designed to integrate maths with sports. The same thing is for the teacher to imagine and integrate more and more concepts with maths. I hope in the future we will do it better and better, more and more. Thank you one and all. I hope it was useful to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ma'am. I think you actually imbibed a lot of creativity in the teachers. I think now it's about them thinking कि क्या-क्या मैं कर सकते, वो क्या कर सकते हैं.
Yes,
you
yes.
gave a lot of ideas, like the example that you gave on shapes, triangle,
Yes.
quadrilateral, on that. अगर imagine करें तो if there are infinite number of children, thousands of them will start forming a circle.
Yes.
So जैसे आपने triangle से start करके octagon, hexagon पे गया था. So धीरे-धीरे, so there are a lot of things that you talked about, sectors, angles, parallel lines, intersecting lines and all that. And बाकी सारे teachers भी उस तरीके से हो सकते हैं. Now I would like to invite Binu sir, who's going to tell us about how sports and languages can be taught together. Minu sir.
Good morning, all. As Madam was telling about how to integrate max with sports. So here, language integration with sports also is a very important matter, because without a particular language, a sporting event cannot be a success. और इसमें क्या है कि ये लैंग्वेज बहुत बड़ा एक इम्पोर्टेंट रोल इसलिए प्ले करता है कि बच्चे या जो भी एडवांस स्पोर्टिंग इवेंट्स में भी जो होते हैं, लैंग्वेज लाइक अभी नॉर्थ इंडिया का एक टीम आके साउथ इंडिया के टीम के साथ खेल रहे हैं, तो वहाँ लैंग्वेज का बहुत बड़ा एक ये होता है, क्योंकि साउथ इंडिया के लोग अपना साउथ इंडिया का जो स्लैंग है उसको यूज़ करके, लैंग्वेज यूज़ करके अपना टैक्टिक्स को गेम सिचुएशन में इन गेम सिचुएशन को बदल सकते हैं. ये मैं जस्ट एक एग्जांपल दे रहा था कि जैसे अभी केरला का टीम, फुटबॉल टीम गया जम्मू के टीम के साथ खेल रहे हैं, और टीम गेम ड्यूरिंग गेम ओनली दे यूज देयर लैंग्वेज, लोकल लैंग्वेज, एंड दे शिफ्ट चेंज द टैक्टिक्स और शिफ्ट द मूवमेंट्स. इसमें क्या है कि सम सॉर्ट ऑफ एडवांटेज दे गेट, क्योंकि द अदर टीम आर अनेबल टू चेक द थिंग्स बिकॉज उनको लैंग्वेज का डिफिशिएंसी होता है. सो यहाँ लाइक मैडम ने भी मैक्स में कमांड का भी बारे में बोल रही थी कि गिविंग कमांड्स लाइक टू फॉर्म ए पैराबोला और टू फॉर्म ए स्क्वायर, टू फॉर्म ए रेक्टेंगल. सो दीज थिंग्स इसमें लैंग्वेज हो सकता है. ए कमांड हैव टू बी गिवन थ्रू इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज, ए कमांड हैज टू बी गिवन थ्रू हिंदी लैंग्वेज और लोकल लैंग्वेज. So here language plays a very vital role. Now it's our prime responsibility as a physical education teacher or a community coach. It's our prime responsibility to bring out this attitude, that is integration of language with sports with our subject teachers, that is language teachers. So we have to just motivate them. हम लोग उनको मोटिवेट करके क्या करना है कि मैडम ऐसे सिखाना है. So for example, क्लास 6th चैप्टर साथ ही हाथ बढ़ाना, ये हिंदी का है, तो इसमें हाउ टू इंटीग्रेट दिस चैप्टर विद स्पोर्ट्स. इसमें साथ ही अपना टीममेट इज हेल्पिंग द अदर पर्सन. So just I will be briefing about the details of the game. We can assume a class strength of 30 or 40. We have to divide them equally. Like if it is 30, divide them into 15 students and team them and give them the name team A or team B or some other else according to our own plan. Then we are asking them to stand in a single line separately. और इसमें क्या है कि ये दिस आर ऑल कॉमन गेम्स हम लोग जो फिजिकल एजुकेशन टीचर्स जो है यूज करते हैं रिक्रिएशनल एक्टिविटीज में. ये कॉमन गेम है. इसमें द फर्स्ट स्टूडेंट ऑफ बोथ द टीम ए एंड बी विल बी रनिंग टुवर्ड्स द कोन and will take a round of the cone in front of them. This is a sort of shuttle run. और इसमें after taking a round, ये cone को एक round लेने के बाद they come back and the second players का हाथ में touch किया और tap किया, then again the other person run forward taking a round of the cone. This shuttle run continues till the last person completes the cycle. तो इसमें क्या है कि थीम क्या होता है हमारा माइंड में, इसका मेन इंटेंशन इज साथ ही हाथ बढ़ाना. 15 लोग के बीच में हाथ बढ़ाने का एक सेंस हो जाता है, और जो लेसन का जो थिंग है कंसेप्ट, इट कैन बी ब्रॉट इनटू स्पोर्ट्स एंड देयर आर सम रूल्स आल्सो फॉर इट और विच कैन बी फॉलोड. और इसके बाद क्या है कि सर नेक्स्ट यू कैन गो, दिस रूल्स कैन बी फॉलोड एंड इट कैन बी ब्रीफ टू द स्टूडेंट्स आल्सो. एंड फॉर क्लास 7 द स्क्विरल, इसमें भी we can develop a game with the concept with the keeping in mind of the theme of the chapter. इसमें the game ऐसा है, the children are divided into two teams. One team becomes the squirrel and the other being the children. इसमें क्या है कि स्क्विरल जो है हम लोग इमेजिनेशन जैसे पत्थर या प्लेट्स का जो पीसेस होते हैं उसमें साथ है, जैसे इट्स ए गेम लाइक 70s what we play during our games period or we teach our students during the games period. The squirrels have to collect the stones piece or the what to tell grains का जो piece भी जो food collector वो concept में इसको collect करके रख रहे हैं. Then the other team, दो टीम में से एक टीम they will try to hit the squirrel team when they try to arrange the nuts or the stone that is a bit of pieces one among एक के ऊपर एक अरेंज करने. के टाइम पे. So the detail, it is the children are divided into two teams. One team become the squirrels and other team become being the children. The stones are props, or which team the squirrels need to collect, and the other tries to strike the squirrels with a ball. मैं जो बोला वो squirrel को मारने के लिए जैसे पत्थर से भगा रहा है. Anyone hit by the ball is considered to out of the game of the for the round. ये है उसका सिस्टम. और इसमें बस लिटिल जो एक बॉल मेनली होता है इक्विपमेंट. तो इसमें क्या है कि हमारा वो क्लास 7 का द स्कूल लेसन का थीम भी हम लोग ये कर सकते हैं, ये है. देन क्लास 8 में मैकेविटी द मिस्ट्री कैट. इसमें हम लोग क्या है कि कोको जो गेम है उसका कंसेप्ट में हम लोग बच्चों को ये लेसन भी सिखा सकते हैं. तो इसमें इसका रूल ऐसा है कि डिवाइड द स्टूडेंट इनटू टू टीम्स एज खोखो में 9, और उसमें एक टीम पुलिस रहेगा और दूसरा टीम कैट रहेगा. तो क्या होता है कि इसमें कोको का ही कंसेप्ट से गेम होता है. इसमें 9 मिनट का ये होता है. एक साइड को एक चांस मिलता है. तो द पुलिस टीम हैव टू दो एक टीम को कैट बना देते हैं, दूसरा टीम को पुलिस बनाते हैं. पुलिस टीम बैठे रहते हैं, चेसर्स बन जाते हैं, बिकॉज दे आर चेसिंग द कैट्स. तो क्या है कि उनको बिठा देते हैं एंड एज यूजुअल कोको का रूल को थोड़ा हम लोग चेंज करके बच्चों को खिला सकते हैं, ताकि ये जो द मिस्ट्री कैट, ये कैट का लेसन का जो कंसेप्ट है दैट कैन बी लर्न थ्रू स्पोर्टिंग इवेंट्स. ये है मेन उद्देश्य. So we can quote examples to our teachers to develop these sort of sporting things with the lessons. So जी sir, next. और 7th में अगेन हिंदी में कठपुतली लेसन है. इसमें भी हम लोगों ने एक गेम डेवलप किया हुआ है. इसमें क्या है कि क्या बोलते हैं कि डिवाइडिंग द स्टूडेंट्स इनटू 6 टीम्स ईच कंटेनिंग ऑफ 5. हम लोग मेनली इसमें 30 स्टूडेंट्स का कंसेप्ट में हम लोग डिवाइड कर रहे हैं. and 6 lanes of 100 meters are marked. 6 lanes मार्क करते चुना से. और the students will stand at a distance of 20 meter. 20 मीटर पे एक बॉक्स ड्रॉ किया जाता है और विसल पे दिस आल्सो इज अ सॉर्ट ऑफ शटल गेम होता है. इसमें क्या होता है, द स्टूडेंट्स आर क्या बोलते हैं, दे आर आस्क्ड टू स्टैंड ऑन द बॉक्स, वन मेंबर ऑफ द टीम. देन दे स्टार्ट जंपिंग. उसके बाद देन दे विल पास द टर्न टू द नेक्स्ट टीम. टीममेट हु इज फ्रीज, कठपुतली हो जाता है, उसको आजाद करने के लिए लाउडली दे विल टेल कठपुतली आजाद. ये हिंदी में बोलते हैं कठपुतली आजाद. दैट इज फ्रीज कठपुत द पपेट. देन द स्टूडेंट विल जंप ओनली इन द बॉक्स. इसमें थोड़ा बहुत हम लोग रूल बना सकते हैं. बच्चों को क्या बोलते हैं कि बॉक्स के अंदर ही जंप करना है और द टीम विच एवर फिनिश लाइन फर्स्ट विल बी द विनर. तो इसमें क्या है कि बच्चों को वो जो कठपुतली लेसन जो है उसका कंसेप्ट भी हम लोग थ्रू स्पोर्टिंग इवेंट्स डेवलप कर सकते हैं. ये है हमारा मेन उद्देश्य. और इसमें हम लोग अपना रूल्स को, ये जो रूल्स दिया गया ये अकेला नहीं, हम अपना वी कैन डेवलप आवर ओन रूल्स डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द सिचुएशंस. ओके, सो दिस इज फॉर क्लास 7. सर शैल वी मूव टू द नेक्स्ट दिस वन क्लास. और ये है क्लास 10th के लिए. तो ये 10th onwards we come to the advanced stages. In this we can give opportunities or chances to the children by dividing them into various groups, and we can give them project sort of things बच्चों को which is related to sports. जैसे इंग्लिश में essay writing, reports. ये हम लोग क्या है कि बच्चों को रिपोर्ट्स और essay writing related to sports करवा सकते हैं. इसमें हम लोग ने एग्जाम्पल दिया है कि ग्रुप 1 विल कलेक्ट द इंफॉर्मेशन, दैट इज ऑब्जर्वेशंस, टॉकिंग टू पीपल. हम लोगों से, अपना कम्युनिटी के लोगों से बात करके उनका ऑब्जर्वेशंस को कलेक्ट करके हम लोग उनको एक प्रोजेक्ट दे सकते हैं. उसका एक रिपोर्ट बनाइए ताकि द सेंस ऑफ इंग्लिश और हिंदी लैंग्वेजेस कैन बी और लोकल लैंग्वेजेस. लाइक अभी साउथ में केरला में तो केरला मलयालम लैंग्वेज और तमिलनाडु में तमिलनाडु लैंग्वेज. दिस लैंग्वेज कैन बी डेवलप्ड. और इसमें क्या है कि बच्चों को वो पर्टिकुलर लैंग्वेज को डेवलप हम थ्रू स्पोर्टिंग इवेंट्स करवा रहे हैं, स्पोर्ट्स रिपोर्ट से करवा रहे हैं. और ग्रुप 2 विल गैदर इंफॉर्मेशन फ्रॉम रिपोर्टर्स एंड अरेंज इट इन सीक्वेंस. 10 या 15 रिपोर्टर्स से रिपोर्ट्स ले लेंगे और उसको हम लोग अरेंज करना ग्रुप बी को. और ग्रुप 3 विल चूज इंफॉर्मेशन बेस्ड ऑन द इंपॉर्टेंस और सिग्निफिकेंस ऑफ इवेंट और एक्टिविटी. ऐसे वी कैन गिव देम लॉट ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट्स विच इज वेरी मच क्लोज और रिलेटेड टू स्पोर्ट्स. This can be given in English, Hindi or local languages. और ग्रुप 4 को हम लोग एक रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी दे सकते हैं कि दे कैन ड्राफ्ट अ रिपोर्ट, दे कैन ड्राफ्ट कॉपी ऑफ रिपोर्ट्स whatever they see, like we can give, आज इंडिया और इंग्लैंड का मैच हुआ था और उसका एक रिपोर्ट आप बना के लेके इन हिंदी और इंग्लिश, जो भी लैंग्वेज टीचर अपने इस पे. सो विद दिस व्हाट हैपेंस, द चाइल्ड see the things, then improves his mental this one, and use that this one to conversion of language. Class 12th, again little more advanced, like article writing, essay writing. In this what happened, they have to gather informations, collect informations, analyze them, then edit them, then they have to improve their writing skills. इसमें क्या होता है कि they improve their writing skills. Divide the students into 5 groups, announce a topic. We can announce any topic, and with related to that topic, they can write the essay or they can write an article on that one. इसमें हम लोग ने थोड़ा बहुत रूल्स दिया है. विल कलेक्ट इन्फॉर्मेशन रिलेटेड टू ओलंपिक गेम्स, विल कलेक्ट इन्फॉर्मेशन मोडालिटीज ऑफ कंडक्टिंग, कैसे कंडक्ट करना है उसका इन्फॉर्मेशन कलेक्ट कर सकते हैं. विल कलेक्ट इन्फॉर्मेशन ऑन ऑर्गेनाइजिंग एक्सपेंडिचर्स का जो है, प्री कॉम्पिटिशन जो है, पोस्ट कॉम्पिटिशन जो है, ड्यूरिंग कॉम्पिटिशन क्या है, इसका रिपोर्ट्स और एनालिसिस हम लोग बच्चों लोग एनालाइज करके उसको आर्टिकल या रिपोर्ट इन द फॉर्म ऑफ आर्टिकल राइटिंग और ऐसे राइटिंग दे सकते हैं. और ग्रुप 5 के लिए दिया लीड टू ऑर्गेनाइज ए ग्रुप डिस्कशंस. इसमें क्या होता है कि उनका लिंग्विस्टिक ये डेवलप हो सके, लैंग्वेज का जो बोलने का या राइटिंग का जो है, दिस कैन बी डेवलप्ड. So we have to bring these things to the knowledge of our language teachers and let them introduce these things so that children will take more interest, because बच्चे लोग they are very much interested in sports, so they will take more interest and they will learn more things in the development of their linguistic skills. So these are the things which I just wanted to share to you. Thank you.
थैंक यू सो मच बिनू सर. आई थिंक आपने काफी अच्छे पर्सपेक्टिव दिए हैं कि लैंग्वेजेस को किस तरीके से यूज कर सकते हैं एंड टू मेक देम मोर इंटरेस्टिंग बाय इंक्लूडिंग स्पोर्ट्स. बेसिकली सी द बेसिक आइडिया है कि बच्चे का जो भी इंटरेस्ट है, वेदर इट इज स्पोर्ट्स और वेदर इट इज आर्ट और म्यूजिक, how do we actually incorporate that aspect in learning languages. And कुछ काफी सारे हमने एक्टिविटीज भी देखा. So now we are going to talk about sports and science. So we talked about sports and mathematics, we talked about sports and languages. We'll move to science. So what I would like to invite Surya sir. He's going to tell us कि biology और chemistry कुछ लेसन से हम किस तरीके से स्पोर्ट्स के थ्रू करा सकते हैं. And then I will talk about physics. Surya sir.
Thank you, Sujit. Thank you, Binu and Neela ma'am. So today's our main aim is to make learning joyful. That is most important. And students love sports. That's why importing education through sports is a novel idea that which we have been taken up. And it was emphasized in National Curriculum Framework, also new education. So through sports, physical activities, live examples, and day-to-day activities, and application of knowledge is, in day-to-day life is very, very important. And because we'll be one character Sam, we'll be teaching whatever the thing in sciences we can do that one. And normally in sciences, we'll be having mainly in biological sciences and this one, anatomy and physiology is taught. So anatomy and physiology, if they're having a knowledge of that one among the students will be participating, having a more knowledge how to improve their human performance will be there. So these subjects will help. If you see in advance that one, biomechanical analysis can be done. So we are having a character here. The Sam is there. So Sam, what he is doing, he loves participating in all kinds of sports. And but how he is able to do this, that we'll be seeing. And how Sam will be learning this one. If he has a knowledge of skeletal system, muscular system, cardiovascular system, and respiratory system, its performance will be improved. Because this is the locomotor system, this will assessing to have a movement. And Sham will learn all these things in the biology, and he will apply in. Next. So, because human system, if you say, what your body is consist of muscles, bones, and joints. Do you know how many bones we are having? We are having 206 bones. How many muscles we are having? 600 muscles. How many joints we are having? 360 joints. So these bones will be helping you a lot to is a frame. It starts with the skeleton. So Sam wouldn't be able to stand, let alone run, kick, swing, take, punch, because all these things will happen because he was skeleton. So Sam should understand what he should understand. The skeleton will give his protection, movement, shape, support, and blood production. It all will happen with these bones. This is the most important part in biology. Everybody will be learning about the skeleton. And suppose if you synchronize with the subject, so NCERT has already beautiful syllabus has been made. In this one, each class they'll be having some amount of human body के बारे में बहुत सारा बताता है. इसमें क्लास 6 में चैप्टर 8 में बॉडी मूवमेंट है. You know, the movement will start at early stage. In science chapter 8, to understand various types of movements in human body, high science में, to learn about various types of joints, their position and their function. बॉडी पे जॉइंट इज नथिंग बट आपका बोन को बोन पे जो जोड़ता है वो जॉइंट होता है. एंड टू अंडरस्टैंड वेरियस टाइप्स ऑफ मूवमेंट्स ह्यूमन बॉडी. How many types of movements are there? You may be knowing flexion, extension, abduction, adduction, rotation, lateral rotation, medial rotation, pronation, supination, circular motion. So different types of movements are there. All these movements, how it will be possible there. And that one, to learn about various types of joints. And because when your joint will be there, आप लोगों को मालूम होता है ball and socket joint है, pivotal joint है, hinge joint है. ये joint कहाँ होता है? For example, if you say hinge joint will be the elbow, a hinge joint होता है. Ball and socket joint कहाँ होता है? Shoulder में होता है, hip में होता है. And this joints position कहाँ है? What is the range of motion of a particular joint? If the child knows about that one, with the practical examples, if you show with the physical activity, children will understanding a lot of it. For example, if you say pulling action में कौन सा movement होता है, and ball and socket joint में कैसा होता है, knee and elbow joints, what are this one, what type of movements can be performed, that one, and they should complete skeletal system का movement का बारे में बच्चे को knowledge होता है, and that knowledge will be remembered for a lot of days. So please play video.
Welcome to the third video of the GEA movement and fitness sessions brought to you by Sure. Both Sure and the GEA are encouraging us all to move a little bit more at home. In this video, we're going to talk about power and acceleration. Power can be defined as force multiplied by velocity. Force can be developed through your strength training, and velocity can be developed through your speed training. When someone is trying to get faster, we can look at two elements. Firstly, their acceleration speed, and second, their top-end speed. Your acceleration is strongly related to your horizontal power. We can test your horizontal power with the standing broad jump. The standing broad jump assessment is very easy. Stand with your feet together, jump as far forward as you can, measure the distance. Now that we've established your horizontal power, we want to establish your acceleration. Let's start with two drills though, the A skip and the B skip. Then we'll do the falling start assessment. That completes the third video of the GA movement and fitness sessions brought to you by Sure.
Yeah, actually ये थोड़ा unrelated video हो गया, sorry.
Okay, so okay, we have to synchronize also because we require acceleration, speed and velocity. इसके लिए भी हर movement के लिए आपको बढ़ाने के लिए skeleton system और muscular system both are very very important. Now शाम क्या होता है, make your move, how to move, that one you will enjoy. And कैसा होता है उसमें joints, various the places of the joints. बच्चे को जब joints के बारे में muscles के बारे में बताते समय the position of that one, if it is shown to that one, he will be having a lot of knowledge whenever he is doing a movement. And movement करते समय and he will be remembering the particular one. और pivotal joint कहाँ होता है, head and shoulder में होता है. Ball and socket joint क्या होता है, shoulder में होता है. Hinge joint elbow में होता है. Saddle joint and ellipsoid joint and gliding joint. When they are moving the particular joints, when they are doing a particular movement, they'll remember this all those joints names and movements names also they will be doing, because these all things will be useful in your sports. When you come, another important thing after skeletal system के पास muscles है. That I already told, number of muscles in your human body is 600 muscles. 600 muscles में क्या होता है, major होता है, minor होता है. उसमें 9th chapter 9th class 11th class में chapter 6 में tissues और muscular tissues के बारे में बताया था. To understand about different types of muscles found in human body and their functions and their types, we should be, normally these muscles are very very important for us to store energy for doing
Hey guys, it's JP. and today we are going to take a look at exercises to improve the way you run. So, I usually make analysis videos that take a look at different aspects of the way someone runs from amateurs to top runners, and I discuss and explain different things that could be worked on in the individual runner. However, I have not made any videos that specifically work on those areas. In this video, I will be going over 3 exercises to help you improve your hip drive to help you run faster across all distances, whether you are a sprinter or a marathon runner. First, let's go over what I mean about improving hip drive. We will compare 2 different runners to really see the difference. Taking a look at this runner, you can see he has a bit of a bouncy running pattern. Now, let's place markers to look at the range of hip movement from when the foot touches the ground to when the foot pushes off the ground. He doesn't seem to use the hips as much as he could be as he runs. To see what I mean, let's compare this to an elite runner, Paul Chelimo, and see how he runs. Again, let's place markers of his hip movement from foot landing to push off. You can see the difference as he presents with good hip drive, which translates to minimized vertical bounce while maximizing force directed forward. Of course, many muscles work together as you push off the ground. However, we will be highlighting the importance of using the glutes, specifically the glute max. This is an important muscle as it's not only a powerful muscle that helps you push off the ground, but it is also fatigue resistant, which basically means that the muscle does not get tired as quickly as other muscles of the leg. Athletes, so you can see how they are done. The second exercise, which is
So I'm not playing it more. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so this is how important is muscle. You know, the muscle is what happened for any movement. Muscle is the most important one. It initiates the movement, the flexors and extensors. In running, you might have seen the hip, gluteus muscle, how important it is there, and it is storage of energy will also be there in the muscles also. When you come across the thing is, Sham want to play football. So what are the important muscles that are used in the footballers is abdominals, deltoids, rectal spine, gastrocnemius, gluteus maximus, hamstrings, quadriceps, trapezius. These are all important muscles because a football player should know about these are the muscles that are important for them, and they are learning about these muscles and they are using these muscles and they can develop these muscles. So for each game, we can identify different muscles will be used for that one. Suppose if Sam is a boxer. So for boxer, what are the types of muscles that are important for that movement is abdominals, deltoids, rectal spine, gastrocnemius, gluteus maximus, obliques, pectorals, trapezius, and triceps. These are the muscles that were used. So the child or a player, they are synchronizing both play and this one. They are learning about their human body. If this is a golfer, and what is the main thing? 3 important muscles: gluteus maximus, obliques, and pectorals. These are main muscles they are using. So synchronizing of the biology with the sports. So another important thing in starting only we have learned that one because we are all the systems of the body will be useful for that one. Suppose if it is a heart, the heart, what are the parts in a cardiovascular system is that one is arteria, ventricles, valves, spectrum, arteries, capillaries, and veins. These are a very important parts. They are learning about this anatomy, and if efficiency of heart depends upon the human performance will be developed due to training. We are going to develop this heart. So because the child will be learning about cardiovascular system, he should think about his own body and own activity, how his heart is functioning and everything. And it is a live example, and it will give him much more knowledge, and the knowledge will be there for longer period of time. Next. Suppose same way respiratory system. When we are talking about respiratory system, we'll be talking about lungs and oxygen we'll be doing. The structure of the thing children will be doing, and they should feel. So what is the functions of that from the respiratory system? And the structure of the respiratory system children will be learning. And they say how to protect them, they will be knowing. How to improve performance, they'll be knowing. And you say that how passage of the air into the lungs. So nasal passage, pharynx, epiglottis, larynx, trachea, and bronchus. If they know each and every part of the particular respiratory system, how air flows inside, how air comes outside, the children will be having importance of taking air, how to air, and which muscles will help in taking the air. And these are all things that students have a knowledge. And sports people, if they have a knowledge, and they'll be improving all their capacities. Next. And when you come in class 7 to 10th, we are having different topics were covered in the regarding respiration. Science class 7 chapter 10, respiration in organisms and class 10 life process may. To understand aerobic anaerobic respiration is very, very important. Where we use aerobic, everybody will know, you all know that one. Where is anaerobic respiration will be there. And aerobic means more oxygen is required. Anaerobic means less oxygen is required. For shorter activities will be used, anaerobic phase will be there. To learn about cramps experienced during strenuous exercise, during anaerobic respiration, and demand of energy is high, supply of oxygen to produce energy is limited. Anaerobic respiration occurs in muscles. Partial breakdown of glucose products produce lactic acid, whose accumulation causes cramp. The children should understand. And what is the importance of lactic acid? Why he is getting cramps? Because production of lactic acid accumulation, because he is getting cramps. And they should know that when doing the activity, which activity belongs to aerobic, which activity belongs to anaerobic phase. So for every activity, there will be anaerobic and aerobic phase. The children should have a complete idea about that one. So please play the video.
In this video, you will learn the abdominal breathing technique. Abdominal breathing lets you inhale more air than breathing from your chest. Thus, it allows runners to perform better. We will see how to breathe from the stomach in two situations, while resting and then while exercising. Let's begin with breathing while resting. Stand up straight and place your hand on your stomach. Take a deep 5-second breath through your nose while expanding your belly. Make sure your hands spread apart as your stomach expands. Stop inhaling for 3 seconds in order to keep the air in your lungs and in your stomach. Then exhale for 5 seconds. Press your hands against your deflating stomach and make sure to keep your back straight. Keep exhaling as much as possible and restart the cycle. Next, we will see how to breathe while exercising. Practice the abdominal breathing techniques while you are running. Concentrate on exhaling. This way you can exhale the carbon dioxide and replace it with oxygen-rich air when inhaling. When exhaling, push all of the air out of your lungs and stomach. In order to do this, bring your stomach in as much as possible and contract the abdominal muscles. Make sure you don't curve your back. Once you have exhaled completely, inhale and fill up your stomach. Then continue the cycle. Exhaling should take 2 to 3 times longer than inhaling. Your breathing cycles should follow each other. Don't block your breathing. To ensure that you are breathing from your stomach, make sure you relax your shoulders each time you exhale. Now you know the abdominal breathing technique in order to breathe more efficiently from your stomach. Over to you.
It is a beautiful explanation regarding, because everybody will be having a knowledge about that one. When demand is there, so more energy should be there. How to, they may not be having a knowledge about that one. Abdomen is more useful if taking respiration. So more acceleration should be there for inhaling for the technique. Now we coming across this beautiful thing that is everybody BCAA. This is a branched chain amino acids. So these are essential amino acids. In class 11, 12th biotechnology, it is there. It is because it's very, very important for increasing human performance. So BCAA, important biosynthesis muscle protein, helps in increasing the high complex carbohydrate intake. Carbon part of BCAA used as a fuel and nitrogen part is used as a aligned production, which in turn go to liver, where it is turned into glucose for energy. Athlete uses to protect their existing mass, take BCAA enriched food before and after exercise. BCAA enriched food comes out meat, fish, and chicken and milk. And these are all BCAA enriched food, where it will be helpful for you to keep up your, tone up your muscle mass, to improve your muscle mass along with the exercise. So there are so many supplements are also available there. So in this way, they should synchronize the subject, whatever it is there, with the physical activity or with the human body or with human performance and protein structure. And now, before that one, if you already, before I give it to Sujit, I will say one thing. Everybody in chemistry, you will be talking about pH. So pH value, you know, we know in chemistry. In that one, what will happen if pH is disturbed? Homeostasis will be developed. Because normally we'll be having blood pH level of 7.35 to 7.4. Blood will be alkaline and as well as acidic. So if it's something different is there, they should relate to the human examples or body examples, all the subject topics, then it will be very, very useful, and learning will be fruitful. The learning outcome will be very, very beautiful for physical education and for other subjects. So, thank you.
Thank you, Surya sir. I think very beautifully explained bio and chemistry, a lot of activities, and I think there's a lot of creativity. Like even in simple example like a BMI, calculation of the BMI, and so that is something that you can actually do it on the ground. A lot of, whether it is VO2 max, body fat percentage, there are a lot of things that you're talking about, which are things that you can actually do. We'll take up some examples of physics also. The first simple example is a force and pressure. I think one of the very beautiful games is tug and war. Everyone loves it, even at the age of 50, 55, 60, just even small children to elders, everyone loves tug of war. With this simple concept of tug of war, whether it is between children, between teachers, between parents and teachers, or whatever, so you can actually explain this concept of force and pressure, or opposing forces. So two opposite examples are tug of war, the other one is a wrestling. One is a push, the other one is a pull. So here there are even concepts like you can also talk about stable equilibrium and unstable equilibrium. So when you're doing, so if it is like holding an electricity pole from all four sides. If you're holding a pole together from all four sides, it's an example of stable equilibrium. But if you pull with the rope from all sides, it's an unstable equilibrium. So here again, this is an example where whether you're doing wrestling or you're doing tug of war, you are essentially talking about opposing forces. One is even if you're holding at a steady position with both the teams, you can talk about all those concepts of opposing forces, stable equilibrium, unstable equilibrium, what is the amount of force that you require, all these concepts can actually be taught. Swimming is a beautiful example where, as an example, people say that when you die, what happens? Why does the body float? The body floats, and similarly, when you're doing swimming, so it is through the trunk that you are actually swimming, not so much about the hand or the legs. And what is it? So there are 2 points in the body. So let us look at this video and then we'll talk about it, how it works.
Understanding the physics of swimming is a key element to help you swim faster.
Here you can see, so there are 2 concepts. The concept of center of buoyancy, which is at your chest, and center of mass, which is somewhere at the center of the body, at the back somewhere. So let's look at how it works, the floating part of it.
It doesn't matter if you're a beginner or an experienced swimmer. On this video, we will go over buoyancy, meaning the ability to float. How do you float? To understand why something or someone floats, you need to understand Archimedes' principle. Let me try to explain it on simple terms. And then, if you want a more scientific explanation, I will leave a link in the description for you. When you're in the water, you push some of it to the sides and then up. Just like when you get in the hot tub, you displace the water and the level rises. However, in a swimming pool, gravity is going to pull that water that you lifted up back down. So that water pushes you up with the same amount of force that you pushed it. This equilibrium of forces makes you float. How can some people seem to float more easily than others? This all depends on the density of the body. Essentially, density refers to how close the atoms in an object are from each other. The more dense an object is, the closer the atoms are and the less it floats. For example, a rock is very dense, meaning that it has a lot of weight compared to its mass. Muscle is more dense than fat. So a fit person with very little fat in their body floats less than a baby that has very little muscle and light bones. A person with more body fat will also float more. Why is this important? When you're swimming, you have a center of buoyancy, and you always have a center of mass. Your center of mass is very close to your belly button, but your center of buoyancy is close to your lungs. This is because the air in your lungs is not dense at all, and it floats more. So, If you stand still, these two centers will align with gravity. That is also why, if you blow all the air in your lungs, you sink to the bottom of the pool. For optimal swimming, you need a horizontal position. How do you float in a horizontal position? By changing your center of buoyancy, keeping a good amount of air in your lungs, and by kicking. If you have your arms up, the center of buoyancy gets closer to your belly button. And by kicking, you create an upward force that makes the water push you up. But that is going to be explained by the laws of Newton in the next part of this series of videos.
Here, you could actually see that how a game of swimming actually helps you to understand multiple things. Archimedes principle, which is about the displacement of water of the same volume as your body. It talks about density. It talks about saying that if you have a muscular body which is more dense than a body which has fat, it talks about center of buoyancy. It talks about the center of mass. It talks about opposing forces, and when you kick the water down, it actually pushes the body up. And then it also talks about opposing forces. It talks about gravity, which is pulling you down, and also buoyancy, which is pushing you up. One example that you can also talk about is that when you have a deeper pool, the center of mass will remain the same of your body, but you have a larger opposing force which will push you up.
Understanding the physics.
Let's take another example. This is about a boy, Indian boy. Surya sir actually shared this video, very beautiful video about a village child, and how. Let's look at how what happens here. Let's look at this example. It is an example where multiple things can be taught. You talk about potential energy, you talk about kinetic energy, you talk about elastic energy, you talk about gravity, all the four concepts. So this is talking about conservation of energy or transfer of energy. Both the things are there. So what you are doing is that when the child is running, the body gains as much as kinetic energy as possible because he's running fast. So there's a lot of kinetic energy which is there. The moment he sticks the pole on the ground and it bends, it is converting that kinetic energy into an elastic potential energy transferred to the pole. So the energy getting transferred from the body to the pole. When the pole strengthens at the top, it gives a kinetic energy back to the body, to the child's body. So now what is the pole doing? It is converting kinetic energy into potential energy and horizontal into vertical motion. So the horizontal moment it kicks on the ground, because of elastic potential energy, the pole is up. And again, because of the elastic property of the pole, then it is providing back that kinetic energy back to the body. When he lets go of that pole, he's climbing up because he's already in a trajectory, so he goes up against the force of gravity, and at a certain point the child actually falls down because of gravity. So this is an example where kinetic energy is converted to elastic energy, back to kinetic energy, back into potential energy, and then the child actually falls down because of gravity. This is a great example. Pole vault is a great example, or a high jump is also a great example of exactly the same thing. Let's look at this a change in technique by Fosbury. Let's look at how science actually helped him to become the best high jumper in the world, and how the technique that he actually created is now followed by every single high jumper. Let's look at it.
In the early 1960s, Dick Fosbury tried his hand at almost every sport, but never excelled at anything. until, at the age of 16, he turned to the high jump. But when he couldn't compete against the strong athletes at his college, using the standard high jump techniques of the time, Fosbury tried to jump a different way, backwards. Instead of jumping with his face towards the bar, bringing each leg over in the traditional straddle method, he jumped with his back towards the bar. Fosbury improved his record by over half a foot and left his coaches amazed by this strange new style of high jumping. During the next few years, Fosbury perfected his high jump style, won the U.S. national trials, and assured his place in the 1968 Olympics in Mexico. In the Olympic Games, Fosbury amazed the world with his new technique, winning a gold medal with an Olympic record leap of 2.24 meters. By the next Olympic Games, almost all the competing high jumpers had adopted what came to be known as the Fosbury flop. What's the secret behind the technique? It lies in a physics concept called the center of mass. For every object, we can locate the average position of all of its mass by taking into account how the mass is spread around the object. For instance, the center of mass of a flat rectangular object of uniform density will be in the intersection of both diagonals, in equal distance from each corner. We can find the center of mass for other objects by similar calculations, or by finding the object's balancing point, which lies right underneath its center of mass. Try balancing a broom by holding it and slowly bringing your hands together until they meet. This balancing point lies right underneath the broom's center of mass. We humans also have a center of mass. When most people stand up, their center of mass is around the belly. But what happens to your center of mass when you lift your hands in the air? Your center of mass moves upwards. It moves all the time as you move through the day, based on how your body is positioned. It can even move outside of your body. When you bend forward, your center of mass is located below your bent belly, in a place where there is no mass at all. Weird to think about, but that's the average position of all your mass. Many objects' center of mass are outside their bodies. Think of donuts or boomerangs. Now look at the Fosbury flop and follow the position of the center of mass of the jumper. The jumper runs very fast, so he can divert his horizontal velocity to vertical velocity, and jumps. Wait for it. There. Look at the jumper's center of mass as his body bends backward. It's below the bar. That is the secret behind the jump. With the old pre-Fosbury techniques, the jumper had to apply enough force to lift his center of mass above the bar by a few inches in order to clear it. The Fosbury flopper doesn't have to do that. The genius of the Fosbury flop is that the jumper can apply the same amount of force but raise his body much higher than before. That means he can raise the bar so high that even when his center of mass can't go any higher, his arcing body can. Fosbury's technique brought the high jump to new heights by splitting the jumper's body away from his center of mass, giving it that much more room to clear higher and higher bars. So the Fosbury flop may be sports history's only great leap forward that is also a great leap backward.
Yeah, so you can see that here how he actually changed his technique from instead of jumping from the front, he jumped from the back so that the center of mass actually moves outside the body. And this technique is also used in boomerangs also. And this is a great example how you can actually use physics to improve your performance. This is an example. I love this example about distance, speed, acceleration, velocity, and all that. When I was in class 6th, 7th in my school, so we had this question, a 15-mark question in physics, saying that have you heard about the hare and tortoise race? Who won the race and why? That's a very simple example. खरगोश और tortoise और hare का जो रेस था, किसने जीता और क्यों जीता? आपको पता है कि रैबिट का जो स्पीड है बहुत हाई था, बहुत तेज भाग रहा था, और टॉर्टोइज जो है बहुत धीरे धीरे भाग रहा था. तो उसका स्पीड अगर हम देखा जाए, रैबिट का नॉर्मल स्पीड देखें तो टॉर्टोइज से ज्यादा ही होगा. ये सिमिलरली हम ये नहीं कह सकते जस्ट बिकॉज टॉर्टोइज सो गया था तो वो रेस हार गया. उसका भी कोई लॉजिक नहीं है, क्योंकि अगर वो कम टाइम के लिए सोता तो रेस जीत जाता. वो ये है कि वो उससे ज्यादा देर तक सो गया. क्वेश्चन है कि अगर 200 मीटर अगर दिल्ली से जयपुर है 200 kilometers distance, and if someone goes at 100 kilometers per hour cycling, and I let's say 50 kilometers an hour, and I drive a cycle at 20 kilometers an hour, I will keep going to Jaipur continuously, but the other person who is driving faster, he wants to take a small break. how long is a break that he can take for both of us to reach at the same time. हमको हेयर एंड टॉर्टोइज वाली स्टोरी में एग्जैक्टली सेम है, और कितना देर तक वो सो सकता था हेयर, सो दैट वो जीत सकता है. So this is a good example where, and this is something that you can actually do in sports. You can simulate it on the ground. And इसका जो बेसिक आंसर ये है कि उसका जो एवरेज वेलोसिटी था टॉर्टोइज का, एवरेज वेलोसिटी ऑफ हेयर से ज्यादा था, because distance divided by time. The distance is same for everyone. Time that the tortoise takes, so let's say he takes 3 hours to reach. Rabbit को अगर 1 घंटे में ऑलमोस्ट पहुंच गया था और थोड़ा सा डिस्टेंस रह गया था, तो वो कितना देर तक सो सकता था, डिपेंड्स ऑन स्पीड. So distance, speed, time, acceleration, all these things can actually be taught on a athletic ground very beautifully, and you can actually use that. Let's take an example of Bernoulli's principle of aerodynamics. And इसमें एक्चुअली क्या है कि जो हमारा स्विंग बॉलिंग है, ऑफ स्पिन, लेग स्पिन, इवन आउट स्विंगर्स, इन स्विंगर्स लाइक वसीम अकरम और कपिल देव और अनिल कुंबले, हरभजन सिंह, आई मीन all the players, what is the science behind the swing bowling? कभी-कभी सेम स्पिनर जब बॉल करते हैं वो ऑफ स्पिन है और बाद में वो दूसरे साइड में कैसे स्विंग होता है, लेट्स टेक अ लुक एट हाउ इट हैपेंस. The concept of why do they, तो वो बॉल को लेके वो अपने ट्राउजर में वो घिसते हैं बॉल को, so that उसका शाइन को हटाते हैं, क्यों हटाते हैं, उसका क्या इम्पैक्ट है, let's take a look at it. And what is the Magnus effect? So let's take a look at it.
ये तो शायद आप जानते हैं कि फास्ट बॉलर्स बॉल के एक हिस्से को चमकाते हैं और दूसरे हिस्से को खुरदरा ही रहने देते हैं. इससे गेंद फेंकने पर खुरदरी सतह पर हवा का फ्लो टर्बुलेंट हो जाता है. खुरदरी सतह पर एयर प्रेशर शाइनी साइड के मुकाबले कम होता है और गेंद खुरदरी सतह की तरफ मुड़ जाती है. मगर आजकल तो फास्ट बॉलर्स रिवर्स स्विंग भी करने लगे हैं. ये रिवर्स स्विंग क्या है, कैसे होता है ये?
रिवर्स स्विंग, क्या रिवर्स स्विंग में बॉल लो प्रेशर से हाई प्रेशर की तरफ घूमती है? क्या रिवर्स स्विंग विज्ञान के नियम तोड़ती है या फिर इसमें भी कोई साइंस है?
रिवर्स स्विंग में बॉल खुरदरी सतह की तरफ नहीं पर शाइनी साइड की तरफ स्विंग करती है. इसको एक तरह का चमत्कार भी समझ सकते हैं या फिर विज्ञान से समझा भी सकते हैं. बॉल के पुराने होने पर एक ऐसा मोड़ आता है जब बॉल की खुरदरी सतह का वजन दूसरे हिस्से के मुकाबले हल्का हो जाता है. हालांकि एरोडायनेमिक्स के सिद्धांत ये कहते हैं कि गेंद लो प्रेशर की तरफ यानी कि खुरदरी साइड की तरफ स्विंग करे. जब बॉल का एक हिस्सा दूसरे हिस्से से बहुत भारी हो जाता है, गेंद फेंकने पर शाइनी साइड का वजन ज्यादा होने के कारण बॉल शाइनी साइड की तरफ स्विंग करती है और इसी को रिवर्स स्विंग कहते हैं. इंडियन सबकॉन्टिनेंट की विकेट्स पर बॉल जल्दी पुरानी होती है, इसीलिए यहाँ पर रिवर्स स्विंग ज्यादा देखने को मिलता है.
तो जैसे आपने देखा, इसमें दो एस्पेक्ट हमने देखा कि जो पहले बॉल को हम जब थोड़ा रफ कर देते हैं तो बॉल उसी दिशा में जाता है क्योंकि वहाँ पे लो प्रेशर होता है. तो बॉल हाई प्रेशर जो है पुश करता है लो प्रेशर की तरफ. लेकिन हमने ये भी देखा कि एक पॉइंट आता है पूरे उसमें बॉल इसमें ये रफ वाला साइड जो हल्का हो जाता है. तो हल्का होने लग जाता है तो बॉल जो है जो भारी है उस तरफ वो टिल्ट करता है. वो नेचुरली जैसे हम वेइंग बैलेंस पे देखते हैं या किसी में देखते हैं, किसी भी ऑब्जेक्ट में देखते हैं, जो भारी होता है उस तरफ वो टिल्ट होता है. तो ये जो है एट सम पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम वो रिवर्स स्विंग में फिर वो कन्वर्ट होता है. सो दिस इज द बेसिक साइंस बिटवीन द स्विंग बॉलिंग. एंड ये स्विंग जो है हम फुटबॉल में देखेंगे कैसे बेंडेड लाइक बेकम में कैसे होता है, बॉल उस तरह स्विंग करता है. मैग्नस इफेक्ट उसको बोलते हैं साइड वाइज और परपेंडिकुलर फोर्स के लिए. कैसे move होता है. Let's take that as an example. Aerodynamics, bend it like Beckham, वो कैसे होता है? Physics behind bend it like Beckham.
Well, there's actually a lot of science behind it. For those of you unfamiliar with bending the ball, it's a technique that allows players to shoot around walls, or simply outwit goalkeepers by causing the ball to change direction after it has been struck. So while mastering this technique took me a few years, you're going to learn and understand this technique in just a few minutes. So if you'll notice, when I kick the ball dead center, it goes just as you'd expect, straight. But when I kick it a little bit off center, it curves. So now I'm ready to bend the ball. But how do I determine which way the ball will go? It's actually kind of funny. When I kick the ball on the right-hand side, the ball curves left. But when I kick the ball on the left-hand side, the ball curves right. But what's the science behind these curves? It's actually the same principles that allow airplanes to fly and race cars to stick to the ground. The forces of lift and drag. Relative to the center of the ball, the air on the side of the ball with the red arrow travels faster than that of the blue side, simply because it is parallel to the flow of air against the ball. This creates a high pressure area on the blue side of the ball, which actually pushes the ball toward the low pressure area on the red side of the ball. This tangential suction, in aerodynamics called a lift force, creates the curved ball path that would not be exhibited by a non-spinning ball. So now that you know how to bend the ball, try to practice and master the skill. Soon you'll be able to impress your friends and coach, and maybe one day you'll actually bend it like Beckham.
ये आपने देखा जो the same principles as aeroplane में यूज करते हैं, lift force की बात कर रहे हैं. तो इसमें आपने देखा कि एक तरफ जब हम किक करते हैं, एक तरफ एयर का स्पीड दूसरी तरफ से हायर हो जाता है, तो उसके हिसाब से जो है तो बॉल जो है तो तभी वो बेंड होता है, डिपेंडिंग ऑन कि हम जो एयर फ्लो है दोनों साइड में अलग अलग एयर फ्लो है. ये कार में भी होता है. कार का जो शीशा होता है वो एक बेंड होता है. तो एरोडायनामिक्स के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से जो एयर वेलोसिटी है दोनों साइड में अलग अलग होता है. सो ये प्रिंसिपल हम फुटबॉल में भी जो यूज करते हैं, एयर ये लिफ्ट फोर्स का कॉन्सेप्ट यूज करते हैं उसका. Now let us take one of the last examples. We will not have much time, so what we'll do is we have so the next example is about the bouncing ball. Yes, supernova. इसमें बहुत सारे कॉन्सेप्ट हम एक साथ सीखेंगे. ग्रेविटी, एक्सेलरेशन, ट्रांसफर ऑफ मोमेंटम, ऑपोजिंग फोर्सेस, एयर रेजिस्टेंस, इलास्टिसिटी, कोएफिशिएंट ऑफ फ्रिक्शन क्या है, एंड इनिशियल थ्रो का क्या फोर्स है, ये हम चीजें देखेंगे. अभी हम एग्जांपल देखने से पहले मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ कि ये बॉल गिरेगा. आपको एक बार वीडियो दिखाता हूँ, फिर उसके बाद हम डिस्कस करते हैं.
Check out how high these different balls bounce. The basketball, the super bouncy ball, and the golf ball. Now I'm going to try the golf ball on top of the bouncy ball, on top of the basketball. And then I'm going to explain how it's related to a supernova. Did you see that? Probably not. So here it is again. The golf ball bounced to 28 feet. We dropped it from about 3.5 feet, so it went up 800% of its dropped height. In fact, if you consider that by itself, the golf ball bounces about 70% of its dropped height. It went as high as if it had fallen from 40 feet up. That is awesome. So how can we get the golf ball to bounce up with that much energy? Let's simplify it to these two balls. When you drop them individually, each ball starts out with some potential energy from the height of the drop. As the balls hit the ground, some energy goes into heating up the ground and some goes into heating the ball. Because that energy left the ball system, you can't get back up to the same height. But when you combine them, the tennis ball goes higher than its dropped height. Way higher. Where does it get the extra energy? As the basketball bounces, it compresses, storing elastic potential energy. As it releases, it springboards the tennis ball upward just at the right moment. This is like the double bounce on a trampoline when you jump right before someone else. You prepare the elastic of the trampoline by stretching it and storing energy, which can then bounce the jumper even higher. In the same way, the basketball stores energy in its compression and is able to push the tennis ball. But just like the double bounce preparer, the basketball can't go as high. You can see that here. It bounces even less when three balls are dropped together. Also, during that transfer of energy, some momentum transfers from the basketball to the tennis ball. And since the basketball starts with way more momentum because of its larger mass, the tennis ball's velocity increases by a lot, and it flies up, up, and away. Now back to the triple super ball bounce. Now you get the energy from the basketball's bounce being transferred into the bounce of the super bouncy ball, which is then transferred to the golf ball's bounce. You put the same amount of energy or momentum from two more massive objects into a smaller object, and it will go much faster. Epic! Just like the explosions of a supernova, which may seem
So you can see कि इसमें जो है जैसे बास्केटबॉल है, बास्केटबॉल का जो पूरा मोमेंटम है वो टेनिस बॉल में जैसे रिबाउंड होता है, इनिशियल रिबाउंड के बाद जब उसका मोमेंटम टेनिस बॉल में ट्रांसफर हो जाता है और टेनिस बॉल का मोमेंटम गोल्फ बॉल में ट्रांसफर हो जाता है। अब वो ट्रांसफर होता है तो देयर इज सम लॉस ऑफ एनर्जी, इसलिए बास्केटबॉल का जो ओरिजिनल हाइट था उससे कम हो जाता है। टेनिस पे कुछ होता है, लेकिन सारे के सारे जो कंबाइंड मोमेंटम है फ्रॉम बास्केटबॉल टू टेनिस बॉल टू द गोल्फ कोर्स, and so the golf ball ends up going up like 20-30 times of the initial height. तो ये जो है आपने उसमें इलास्टिक प्रॉपर्टी भी देखा, उसमें डिफॉर्मेशन भी देखा। जो बास्केटबॉल है थोड़ी सी कंप्रेस हो गया था, टेनिस बॉल भी थोड़ा कंप्रेस हो गया था, because when you hit the ground, so there is one force that you are actually hitting the ground, other one is the ground is also hitting back. तो उसमें आपका is a compression, but वो compression के टाइम पे जो मोमेंटम है, मोमेंटम उसका टेनिस बॉल में ट्रांसफर हो गया और फिर टेनिस बॉल में गोल्फ के साथ। This is then let's take this example of law of motion, Newton's law of motion. Through cycling, we'll take a look at this thing. उसमें the first law of motion says that an object at rest remains at rest, and object in motion remains in motion. So basically, जब हम गाड़ी जब स्टार्ट करते हैं, पुश करते हैं, तो उसमें बहुत टाइम लग जाता है। किसी भी चीज को जब हम कोई भी ऑब्जेक्ट को पुल करते हैं, थोड़ा हेवी ऑब्जेक्ट, और टाइम लगता है क्योंकि उसमें इनर्शिया ऑफ रेस्ट है। लेकिन जब पुल करके एक पर्टिकुलर स्पीड में आता है, सो यू कैन क्विकली टेक देम। काफी बार इसीलिए जब हम स्लाइड करते हैं, ऑब्जेक्ट को मूव करते हैं एक कॉर्नर से दूसरे कॉर्नर, एक बार वो थोड़ा सा स्पीड आता था, हम उसी स्पीड से हम उसको आगे ले जाते हैं। सेकंड लॉ ऑफ मोशन है बेसिकली फोर्स एक्टिंग ऑन ऑब्जेक्ट इज इक्वल टू द मास मल्टीप्लाइड बाय एक्सीलरेशन। मास इनटू एक्सीलरेशन इज सेकंड। तो उसका मतलब है अगर हम ज्यादा फोर्स अप्लाई करेंगे, तो अगर हमारा जो भी बॉडी का वेट है, lighter the body weight is, acceleration is better. तो force divided by mass is acceleration, जो हम क्रिकेट हम एथलेटिक्स में देखते हैं और कहीं पे भी देखते हैं, साइकिलिंग में भी देखते हैं। थर्ड है थर्ड लॉ स्टेट करते हैं एवरी एक्शन हैज एन इक्वल एंड ऑपोजिट रिएक्शन। हम जैसे इस चीज को हम देखेंगे, हम स्टार्टिंग ब्लॉक में जब पुश करके हम आगे बॉडी को आगे करते हैं, सो वी आर एक्चुअली पुशिंग द ग्राउंड बैक, सो वी आर मूविंग फॉरवर्ड। तो हम इस चीज को देखते हैं एज एन एग्जांपल।
Causes your bicycle to move? Or thought about why it goes forward instead of backwards or sideways? Perhaps not, and you wouldn't be alone. It wasn't until the 17th century that Isaac Newton described the fundamental laws of motion, and we understood the answer to these three questions. What Newton recognized was that things tend to keep on doing what they are already doing. So when your bicycle is stopped, it stays stopped. And when it is going, it stays going. Objects in motion tend to stay in motion, and objects at rest tend to stay at rest. That's Newton's first law. Physicists call it the law of inertia, which is a fancy way of saying that moving objects don't spontaneously speed up, slow down, or change direction. It is this inertia that you must overcome to get your bicycle moving. Now you know that you have to overcome inertia to get your bicycle moving, but what is it that allows you to overcome it? Well, the answer is explained by Newton's second law. In mathematical terms, Newton's second law says that force is the product of mass times acceleration. To cause an object to accelerate or speed up, a force must be applied. The more force you apply, the quicker you accelerate. And the more mass your bicycle has, and the more mass you have too, the more force you have to use to accelerate at the same rate. This is why it would be really difficult to pedal a 10,000-pound bicycle. And it is this force, which is applied by your legs pushing down on the pedals, that allows you to overcome Newton's law of inertia. The harder you push down on the pedals, the bigger the force, and the quicker you accelerate. Now on to the final question. When you do get your bike moving, why does it go forward? According to Newton's third law, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. To understand this, think about what happens when you drop a bouncy ball. As the bouncy ball hits the floor, it causes a downward force on the floor. This is the action. The floor reacts by pushing on the ball with the same force, but in the opposite direction, upward, causing it to bounce back up to you. Together, the floor and the ball form what's called the action-reaction pair. When it comes to your bicycle, it is a little more complicated. As your bicycle wheels spin clockwise, the parts of each tire touching the ground push backwards against the earth. The actions. The ground pushes forward with the same force against each of your tires. The reactions. Since you have two bicycle tires, each one forms an action-reaction pair with the ground. And since the earth is really big compared to your bicycle, it barely moves from the force caused by your...
Yeah, the last example of conservation of momentum. So basically when you're blocking and tackling, so when you actually, so that is when you mass into your momentum equation. When two players are actually hitting, they actually hit each other or they crash. So that's when the mass into velocity of both. Mathematically, mass for player one, mass into velocity, and player two, mass two into velocity. The momentum becomes zero when you actually collide. So they actually, so collision between, so when you actually collide, when two players collide, that is where the concept of momentum conservation you can experience. It's basically the object's mass and velocity. The final one, Surya sir, you want to talk about sports and social studies?
Simple social studies. Normally, we social science को environmental science भी बोलते हैं, and it's a pure. आपको industrial revolution से लेके तो sports development भी कैसा हुआ मालूम होता है. So social studies is a very important aspect of that one. From this one, we can have sustainable development goals, study of Olympism, history, culture, sports facilities and events, sports policy, sports administration, sports media, internationalism, globalization, environmental policy, sports fitness and culture, tradition and dance. ये पूरा चीज हर गेम के साथ बच्चे को सिखा सकते हैं. With this, we can develop leadership qualities and social engagement qualities also, values also we can be taught that one. And social studies का science भी, we should taught science का भी नहीं, social science का भी बहुत सारा topics होता है. Environment, suppose for example, particular country में particular weather conditions में particular game खेला जाता है, particular culture के साथ game होता है, कभी-कभी lifestyle के साथ game भी रहता है. These all things can be explained through social science.
इसमें actually the interesting thing about social science is it's a lot about stories. As an example, मैंने actually जैसे आप हड़प्पा सिविलाइजेशन के बारे में आप पढ़ते हो, लेकिन आपको अगर पता होना है कि जिस ग्रीस के बारे में पढ़ रहे हैं, बट ग्रीस को अगर ओलंपिक्स के साथ हम पढ़ते हैं, सो इट हैज अ ब्यूटीफुल मीनिंग. ग्रीस में कब हुआ था? 1896 में फर्स्ट टाइम ओलंपिक्स हुआ था. What is the difference between Olympics and the study and the Olympism? Olympism is something that happens between two Olympics. Olympics is an event. What are the values of that Olympics actually teach you? So it is about value education. Similarly, अगर हम उसको टाइम फ्रेम के हिसाब से देखें, ध्यानचंद, हिटलर, गांधी, चर्चिल, चार्ली चैपलिन, all of them they were born around the same time. हमें अगर हम उस तरीके से हम चीजों को देखें कि हिटलर और ध्यानचंद का जो स्टोरी है, इसमें वो इतने अच्छे खेल रहे थे. हिटलर ने उनको बोला कि वो जर्मन का सिटीजनशिप ले ले और उन्होंने फिर और उनको जितना पैसे चाहिए उतना दे देंगे. And he'll be leader of head of his army. उन्होंने उस चीज को मना कर दिया. तो स्टोरीज जो है, स्पोर्ट्स के जो स्टोरीज है, सुनील गावस्कर जब फर्स्ट टाइम क्रिकेट खेले थे, उसी अराउंड द सेम टाइम इंडिया पाकिस्तान वॉर था. इट्स सो इजी टू रिमेम्बर. अगर हम बात करेंगे एशियाड गेम्स के टाइम में कलर टेलीविजन इंडिया में आया था. हम कहेंगे कि एशियन गेम से जस्ट पहले कलर टेलीविजन इंडिया में आया था. एंड अराउंड द सेम टाइम इंदिरा गांधी वाज किल्ड. तो अगर हमें ये जो कॉन्टेक्स्ट है स्पोर्ट्स और ये, क्योंकि आपको हमें एशियन गेम्स पसंद है, हम चीजों को हम बहुत अच्छी तरीके से हम उसको एड्रेस करते हैं. मैनचेस्टर यूनाइटेड का कौन सी कंट्री में कौन सी स्पोर्ट्स का है, ये सब चीजें स्पोर्ट्स की पर्सनालिटीज, टाइमलाइन, कल्चर, हम उस सारी चीज को हम जोड़ सकते हैं. लास्ट एग्जांपल है बिल्डिंग अ लर्निंग एड. विल क्विकली गो थ्रू इट. आपके स्कूल में जितने भी स्पेसेस हैं, आप उसको लर्निंग स्पेस में कन्वर्ट कर सकते हैं. तो उसमें फिटनेस भी बढ़ेगा, उसके साथ साथ आप उसको लर्निंग स्पेस में कन्वर्ट कर सकते हैं. एज एन एग्जांपल स्टेयर केसेस है. स्टेयर केसेस में मल्टीप्लिकेशन की टेबल हो गया या एडिशन है. फिर उसमें स्टेयर केसेस में अलग अलग चीजें आप कर सकते हैं. उसमें स्क्वायर रूट, सारी चीजें आप उसको सिखा सकते हैं बच्चों को कि एक स्टेयरकेस का हाइट कितना है, इसका कितने स्क्वायर्स है, कितने एक तो ये सारे एग्जांपल्स भी है। उसके साथ साथ वो उसको क्लाइंबिंग भी कर रहे हैं, तो आप फिटनेस भी हो रहा है बच्चों का, उसके साथ साथ वो उसको यूज भी कर पा रहे हैं। आपके अगर क्लासरूम में ही है, मान लीजिए जो अगर हाइट और वेट मशीन है आपके पास, छोटे छोटे बच्चे उसका बीएमआई का खुद कैलकुलेट कर सकते हैं। बीएमआई टेस्ट है, खेलो इंडिया का टेस्ट है, अगर बच्चों में कराना है, सिमिलरली अगर उनको टेप दे देते हैं, उनका बॉडी फैट परसेंटेज कैलकुलेट करना है, हिप टू वेस्ट रेशियो कैलकुलेट करना है, ऐसे बहुत सारी चीजें हैं। हम बच्चों का ये सारी चीजें हम क्लासरूम में करा भी सकते हैं। स्नेक एंड लूडो गेम है, हम उसमें मतलब गेम्स है, बच्चे ऐसे बोर्ड में क्यों खेले, वो उसको ग्राउंड में खेले उसको। तो ब्रॉडली मैं सारे टीचर्स को कल की तरह मैं फिर से बताना चाहूंगा, gofit.in पे आप अगर स्पोर्ट्स एंड साइंस या मैथमेटिक्स करके सर्च करेंगे तो आपको बहुत सारे लेसन प्लान्स मिलेगा। लेकिन मैं चाहूंगा कि आप सारे लोग, जैसे कल 800 के करीब लोग थे, अगर आप ईच ऑफ यू शेयर अबाउट 4 to 5 लेसन प्लान्स, आपका जो भी फेवरेट सब्जेक्ट है, तो आप क्या होगा कि अब हमारे पास 2000-2500 लेसन प्लान्स होंगे, आप भी उन सारी चीज को यूज कर सकते हैं। तो हम उसको फिल्टर करके वहां पे पब्लिश करेंगे, तो आप उन सारे को यूज कर सकते हैं। और आपके लिए अच्छा सा आपको कुछ कल और आज हमने फ्रेमवर्क बताया था किस तरीके के आप लेसन प्लान्स बना सकते हैं। मैं कहूंगा कि आप सारे gofit.in पे जाके अपना लेसन प्लान्स को शेयर कीजिए। It will become a portal for everyone so that everyone can actually, these are the fields that you typically have to do. लेसन प्लान क्या है, यहाँ पे परफॉर्म करना है क्लासरूम में कि ग्राउंड में करना है, पिक्चर्स और वीडियोस है तो आप कीजिए, अपलोड कीजिए, यूट्यूब का लिंक है तो उसको अपलोड कीजिए, टाइम चाहिए उसको सिखाने के लिए, और एनी गाइडलाइन है हो तब ये चीज आप करा सकते हैं। तो जिनका अच्छा लेसन प्लान है, अभी एक्चुअली 2 जेएनबी जैसलमेर से 2 लोग आने वाले थे, आज नेक्स्ट सेशन में हम उनको भी प्रेजेंट करेंगे, उन्होंने कुछ लेसन प्लान बनाया था। तो हमारे पास काफी लेसन प्लान अच्छे से इंटरेस्टिंग तरीके से है। मेरा ईमेल एड्रेस है एंड फोन नंबर है, आप www.sekfast.com पे भी जाके देख सकते हैं, या gofit.in में जाके इसको अपलोड कीजिए। With that, I would like to conclude the session. Thank you so much, Sanjeev.
Thank you, sir. A nice presentation, an inspiring one. Lot of knowledge you have shared. When we sir, question means probably there is no question at all, sir. So, but still, sir, one opinion.
या तो हम समझा पाए या बिल्कुल नहीं समझा पाए।
What I feel is that हम लोग समझा पाए उनको। Yes, sir. Sir, one opinion is that these type of lesson plans or topics or a session that should be seen by other subject teachers, that because they may utilize our sports things in their subjects. So one question, anyone like Ashokan sir or Surya sir can answer this one. So what will be the role of our teachers to integrate these things with other subjects?
सर इसका आंसर मैं देना चाहूंगा। यहाँ पे जो है, मैं बता दूं, मैं एक इंजीनियर हूँ, ठीक है, मैं बेसिकली से ग्रेजुएट हूँ और मैं स्पोर्ट्स में काम कर रहा हूँ। सूर्य सर जो है वो, उनका इंटरेस्ट है, बायो केमिस्ट्री में इंटरेस्ट है, लेकिन वो पी टीचर है, ठीक है, फिजिकल एजुकेशन से अभी वो इंचार्ज है। बीनू अशोकन सर का भी सिमिलर एग्जांपल है, उनका कम्युनिकेशन उन सब में इंटरेस्ट है और वो स्पोर्ट्स के टीचर है। नीला मैम जो है, नीला मैम इज ए मैथमेटिक्स टीचर इंटरेस्टेड इन स्पोर्ट्स। कल हमने नागलक्ष्मी मैम को देखा था, वो हेडमिस्ट्रेस है, एक स्कूल के हेडमिस्ट्रेस है, उनको मैथमेटिक्स में इंटरेस्ट है और प्राइमरी के सब्जेक्ट्स में इंटरेस्ट है। तो ये देखेंगे जितने भी लोग हैं, सारे लोग मिलके किए हैं, इसमें से कोई ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि किसी एक का कंट्रीब्यूशन है। सिमिलरली मैं चाहूंगा जितने भी 600 लोग यहाँ पे हैं, मैं चाहूंगा कि आप में से जो इंटरेस्टेड है, प्लीज गेट इन टच विद मी एंड आप अपना सब्जेक्ट बताइए। वी वुड लाइक टू इन्वॉल्व एनीवन हु इज इंटरेस्टेड, जो भी इंटरेस्टेड है, तो प्लीज राइट एंड वी विल पुट यू इन डिफरेंट पीए। आप भी बनाएंगे, आपको भी मजा आएगा और साथ में कर सकते हैं। तो जो पी टीचर का जो रोल है बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, तो पी टीचर बताएगा कि किस तरीके से कर सकते हैं, और आप सब्जेक्ट टीचर है तो आप साथ में मिलकर करना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। ये सब अलग अलग कुछ नहीं है। जैसे संजीव सर, आपका भी बहुत इंटरेस्ट है इंटीग्रेशन और उसमें, So I think it is about meeting of minds and anything else. अब इनफैक्ट सूर्य सर जो लेसन पढ़ा रहे थे बायो और उसमें मुझे मैं इंजीनियरिंग स्टूडेंट, माय फादर इज अ डॉक्टर, मेरे को बहुत सारी चीजें नहीं पता था जो सूर्य सर आज बता रहे थे. आई थिंक लर्निंग नेवर स्टॉप्स. तो मैं आपको ये बताता हूँ कि लर्निंग का कोई एंड नहीं है, एक दूसरे से सीखना बहुत जरूरी है.
Thank you, sir. Wonderfully explained. The thing is, sir ने जो बोला पीटी टीचर्स का रोल क्या है बोले तो सब सब्जेक्ट टीचर्स को स्पोर्ट्स में लाना है. That is the main role. हम लोग अपने तरफ से सोचने का मजबूर करना है, ग्राउंड पे लेके आना है. There is no difference between classroom and playground. Classroom can be playground and playground can be classroom. That is the main motto.
So, Ashokan sir, your opinion, like one negative aspect in our education is that they think that physical education is not a part of education. That previous things that should go. Now it is going also, because now physical education teachers are well educated. Number of subjects what they are learning, that is really apart from that physical activity also. You can see now, like Surya sir is very good in biology, I feel. So that means multiple talents are coming up now, sir. So there, even our teachers can teach their subject. What I am expecting is that they should take our sports as an example in the academic activities. There, if such thing happens, means definitely our physical education will excel. So, Binu sir, your opinions?
See, frankly speaking, most of the main subject teachers, that is maths and science teachers, they actually क्या होता है कि they don't send the children to the ground also. ये एक trend हमारा पुराना एक culture हो गया है. But now the situation has changed और हम लोग ना now our physical education teachers ना they are well qualified. वो जाके they create an impression upon the student. इसमें मेरा experience 25 years हो गया है. What I used to do, मैं थोड़ा सा फिजिक्स का भी थोड़ा सा पढ़ के मैं जब ग्राउंड में चला जाता हूँ, बच्चे लोग आ जाते हैं, 5 मिनट्स आई जस्ट ट्राई टू गिव सम मोर इन्फॉर्मेशन. टीचर जो क्लास में इन्फॉर्मेशन देते हैं उसको छोड़ के हमारा स्पोर्ट्स से रिलेटेड इन्फॉर्मेशन बच्चों को ये, तो क्या कल वो बच्चे जाके टीचर से बोलते हैं कि मैडम कल सर ने वहाँ ये न्यूटन्स का थर्ड लॉ जो है इसमें स्पोर्ट्स के इस पे कोलैबोरेट, जैसे बास्केटबॉल का ड्रिबलिंग पे ये करके दिया. दैट वाज मोर इंटरेस्टिंग देन योर टीचिंग. तो क्या है, टीचर्स लोग जो है ऑटोमेटिकली हमारे पास आ जाते हैं. एंड वी हैव टू
बिल्कुल वो बी टीचर्स अगर थोड़ी सी बाकी में थोड़ा सा होमवर्क करके दिखाएंगे, बाकी टीचर्स को पता रहेगा ये सब कर रहे हैं, तो वो भी हेल्प करेंगे आपको. आई थिंक इट इज अबाउट जो इम्प्रेशन है कि पी टीचर को बाकी सब्जेक्ट के बारे में नहीं पता, अगर वो मिथ को खत्म कर दें, अगर हम कहेंगे मिथ्या है तो ऑटोमेटिकली पीपल विल स्टार्ट डूइंग इट. इवन इफ हर सब्जेक्ट का अगर 5 10 एक्टिविटीज भी करा देंगे, जैसे न्यूटन्स लॉ की बात करें, न्यूटन्स 1 2 1 3 अगर हम क्लियरली एक्सप्लेन कर पा रहे हैं, फोर्स, प्रेशर, ग्रेविटी, शिफ्टिंग ऑफ मोमेंटम, इस तरीके से कुछ चीजों को भी हम ग्राउंड में जब करा लेंगे तो ऑटोमेटिक बाकी टीचर सोचेंगे ये तो ये सब चीजें करा रहे हैं, तो हम भी और भी कुछ आइडियाज वो देंगे फिर उसमें.
और बच्चे ये क्या है कि बच्चे लोग क्या है एग्जाम में आजकल मैंने देखा है, ये साइंस रिलेटेड बच्चे फिजिक्स का जो है एग्जाम्पल स्पोर्ट्स से रिलेटेड कोट करते हैं, तो ये 2-3 बार एग्जाम में हो जाता है ना, तो टीचर ऑटोमेटिकली स्पोर्ट्स के कोट करके सिखाने शुरू कर देते हैं.
और एक सजेशन, जब हम पढ़ते थे वो टाइम पे पीटी सर या कोई टीचर है 10 राउंड लगाओ बोलते लगाते थे. आजकल बच्चे ये नहीं करते हैं. यू हैव टू एक्सप्लेन व्हाट इज इंपॉर्टेंट ऑफ दैट वन. उसको साइंटिफिक टर्म से आप एक्सप्लेन करें तो ही बच्चे करेगा. आप 100 रेपिटेशन करो बोलते नहीं करेगा, शटल रन करो बोलते नहीं करेगा. उसको शटल रन में क्या है, क्यों करना है शटल रन, वो क्यों 10 राउंड्स मारना है, ये क्या है आप समझाना पड़ता है. समझाना पड़े तो यू हैव टू टेक द साइंटिफिक एनालिसिस करे तो ही बच्चे को समझ में आता है, बच्चे इंटरेस्ट पता है. We have to develop interest among the teachers and students. That is the main role of the PT teachers.
Thank you, sir. Overall means we have to stand first and we have to take a first step. Then others will. We have to make a way for them. Then they will follow it. So that we have to do it, sir.
We should be multidimensional, sir. Nowadays, need of the hour is multidimensional.
Yeah, alone one specialization is not sufficient now, sir. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. questions are not there. On behalf of Ministry Youth Affairs and Sports, Khelo India, Sai LNCP, and on behalf of our respected principals, I thank all of you in this beautiful session, sir. Sujit sir, thank you very much. Surya Prakash sir, thank you. Then Ashokan sir, thank you. Your presence is most valuable for us. Even I thank Madam also in this session, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Participants, there is an announcement. Today's evening session. Speaker will be Dr. Marian Mary, a researcher and a lecturer, sports, gender and development board member, IAPESGW from Switzerland. She is going to take a subject that is the sustainability and empowerment through sports and physical education. I request every participants to be there in that session also. Within few days, we are going to conclude this one also. On 18th, validatory will be there. So even during this validatory function, attendance is compulsory for everyone. Even evening session also, you need to attend this one. Even evening sessions attendance is counted for your certificates. So I request all the participants to be there in that session also. Thank you very much.